Hi guys, so this is my presentation on Food Lab number 1, Recovery Smoothie by me, Vaughn Hayes. So my group was a group of 20-year-old females, at average heights of 5 foot 5 inches, average of 130 pounds. They are cross-country runners and they're in need of recovering smoothie. And the only restrictions that I was notified of is that they have to be nut and dairy free. No other known allergies. So first I used the MSJ formula to calculate the basal metabolic rate. So the calculation is 10 times the weight in kilograms plus 6.25 times the height in centimeters minus 5 times the age in years minus 161. And it is noted that this is the formula for females as there is a different calculation for men. So this brings the basal metabolic rate to 1,362 calories per day, and this is if you were to be sedentary, to not move at all. And then when you add in the activity level, which I deemed as heavy activity due to cross-country running, you multiply the BMR, which is 1,362 times 1.75, and then we have a new BMR of 2,383 calories. So based off this data, I did some calculations. So the average weight of these females is 59.1 kilograms, and I did this by dividing by 2.2. And then the carbohydrate needs, again at a high level activity of 8 times 59.1 kilogram, and that equals 472.8 grams of carbohydrates needed daily, and this is equivalent to 1,891.2 calories. And then for protein needs, deemed again high endurance due to cross country. So the calculation is 1.4 times 59.1 kilograms. And this is equal to 82.74 grams of protein needed daily, or 330.96 calories. And then in terms of fat, the calculation is 1 times 59.1 kilograms to give you 59.1 grams of fat needed daily, or 531.9 kilograms. And then when you add all those calories up together, you get a grand total of 2,754.06 calories. So I have made 3 different smoothies. They get better as we go. So the first one I made, I was just throwing things together. I put it as acai U. So the recipe calls for an acai bowl from Giant Wholesales with 1/3 cup of blueberries on top of it. It came as like a package. And then 1/4 cup of oat milk. 1/4 cup of oats, 1 cup of oat milk, 1/2 of a banana, 3 ounces of muscle milk non-dairy chocolate protein drink, and 1/2 cup of kale. The macronutrients, the calories are pretty high at 484.1 calories. The grams of fat is 11.2 with 19% of the daily requirement, as discussed earlier. 74.2 grams of carbohydrates, which is 16% of the daily requirement. 17.3 grams of protein, which is 24% of the daily requirement. 525 milligrams of calcium, 2.78 milligrams of iron, and then 220 IUs of vitamin D. So just looking at this, it really does not look appeasing to me because of the color and marbleization. But so for a taste, I put a 60. It wasn't terrible, but there was so many strong flavors trying to clash, and they all were just fighting, and it wasn't really the best taste in my mouth. Texture, I would put as a 75. All those brown spots you could see, those are like oats remnants that have not been blended yet, so it's kind of chunky swallowing. And then for the appearance, it again just 40. It didn't look good. Flavor, again 60 because of the clashing flavors. The smoothness, it was blended a lot, so I'm not quite sure how the oats didn't blend. So I rated that as a 90 because it tastes like juice. Or like the consistency of juice. The thickness, on the other hand, would be 30 because again, it wasn't very thick at all. Acceptability, I put a 60 because again, it wasn't good. I'm sorry, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. I know I could do better. So the portion size I had as 80 because portion size is 2.5 cups, which is a lot and a lot to drink, but that could be due to it being so watered down. And so overall, I rated this as 60. Again, wasn't bad, but really just wasn't good. So the second smoothie I created was the Refresh and Digest, and for this I created like a refreshing smoothie you would have after a run, and that's why I incorporated the lemonade. So the recipe calls for a fourth cup of frozen raspberries, fourth cup of frozen strawberries, half a banana, 3 ounces of muscle milk non-dairy chocolate protein drink, 1/4 cup of zero sugar strawberry lemonade, a half a cup of oats, a fourth cup of kale, and a half cup of oat milk. On this one, I definitely note not to do as much oat milk or liquids in general, so this is why I went down half a cup. So the macronutrients, this is 302 calories, which is pretty light, and it has 5.83 grams of fat, which is 9% of the daily requirement, 50.9 grams of carbohydrates, which is 11% of the daily requirement, 14.3 grams of protein, which is 20% of the daily requirement, 525 milligrams of calcium, 2.78 milligrams of iron, and 220 international units of vitamin D. So I might be blocking a little bit, I do apologize. You can definitely tell it looks a lot better than the first one. You can definitely tell it looks a lot thicker and mostly one color. So the taste was a 75. Just because the only protein non-dairy drink I had on hand was chocolate, and I feel if I used vanilla or something it would taste a lot better, but chocolate tended to clash. The texture was an 80. It was just a little thin for my liking. I like them where you can kind of eat them with a spoon. The appearance was 80 again. Just plain old smoothie. A little brownish color, a little pinkish. Flavor 75 again because of chocolate. Smoothness 90. It's very smooth. I just would like it thicker. Thickness again 70 for reasons stated before. Acceptability 80. I would have this. It wasn't bad. It just I wish I had used vanilla for a non-dairy protein drink. And the portion size I have as a 90. It went down to 2 cups due to the thickness. It still is a lot, so I wanted to get it lower for my third attempt. So overall, I give this an 80. I definitely just could do better. And then this was my favorite one. So for Valentine's Day, I named this Cupid Arrow to Recovery since Valentine's Day is in 2 weeks. It's hard to believe already. So for this, I wanted to make it like chocolate covered strawberry theme, like raspberry, you know. So the recipe calls for 3 ounces of muscle milk non-dairy chocolate protein drink, half a cup of oat milk, a fourth cup of oats, half a cup of frozen strawberries, a fourth cup of frozen raspberries, 2 tablespoons of Hershey's chocolate syrup, a fourth cup of kale, and 35 grams of chocolate covered frozen strawberries. So looking at this, at first people think it's like very unhealthy for you, but it's actually very good for you. So the macronutrients were 431.58 calories, which is right in the middle between the two before, 10.3 grams of fat, which is 17% of the daily requirement, 72.26 grams of carbohydrates, which is 15% of the daily requirement, 14.15 grams of protein, which is 20% of the daily requirement, 375 milligrams of calcium, 3.12 milligrams of iron, 145 international units of vitamin D. So I'm quite proud of how I did this. I did like a chocolate swirl round, so that was one of the tablespoons of the chocolate syrup and the other tablespoon is in there. So the taste was a 90. I would give it 100, but I've just never had kale in my smoothies before, and I've been meaning to try it. It just has this distinct taste that I just can't get used to yet, but maybe I will eventually, and this could eventually be 100 in my book. Texture, I have it as 80. Honestly, just because, again, I like mine really thick, but to someone else, they might think it's too thick and not able to drink. so I put it as 80. Appearance 100. Again, I just really love it. I did a little garnish of one of the chocolate covered strawberries up top, and again the swirls. Flavor 90 because of the kale. Smoothness I put as 85 again because people might not like it the thick. Thickness definitely is very thick, so it is 100. Acceptability 95%. I just feel like I could do a little better getting all the or micronutrients the way I wanted them to. Portion size 95. I had it at 14 fluid ounces. I really wanted to go for 12, but this is what I ended up with, so be it. So overall, I give it a 90 for the reasons stated above. And I think it's quite obvious what my favorite one was. So for the cost analysis I did on a spreadsheet in Excel, I got that the total cost of one smoothie would be $2.40. The serving size is 14 fluid ounces again, so that equals to about 17 cents per fluid ounce. So I was very surprised at how cheap this was. I knew there was a lot of name brands coming in, like Hershey's, True Fruit, Muscle Milk, and then on top of that, oat milk or non-dairy alternatives always being more expensive. So I definitely thought this was going to be more expensive, but I was very pleasantly surprised. So it was kind of expected. The most expensive item was a True Fruit chocolate covered roasted strawberries. If I were to do this again, I would make my own chocolate covered strawberries and do dark chocolate to add to the nutritional benefits. And then the least expensive, I'm sorry, I'm covering it a bit, was the Hershey's chocolate syrup. Even though it's name brand, it was bought in bulk, so I would only have to buy one entire thing if I wanted to make more. And that is pretty much it. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know. I look forward to hearing from you guys. Thank you.